Ooh wee! We are back with another guide for you, and this time it is how you can improve your aim in Valorant. The last breach guide for the map will come out in 2 days, so before you get a hold of that, let me teach you how you can frag out with basically any agent in the game. No matter how useless. I'm looking at you, Jetmains. There's nothing you are useful for. Anyway, make sure to pay attention, enjoy the guide, and I hope it helps you get to that Valorant rank status. Now, if you are one of those 85% who watched this video, who learned something from my guides, and then use it on your games to frag out, just click the button. You're gonna come back for more. Just click the sub button. Thanks. Let's get started. Here is my 5 main tips on you getting better at aiming in Valorant. Make sure you know what the practice range is. It is literally built into the game. If you don't want to queue for unrated or competitive or customs, practice range is where you can learn how to better your aim. Now, they have a control panel the second you load into the game, and it essentially spawns bots for you to practice your aim. The idea is that you try to learn how to use one taps and be disciplined with you on the trigger. Now, what you see in the background is basically me practicing with the ghost and trying to one tap bots so that I don't have to keep spraying the full clip to get one kill. The idea here is to literally use 1 or 2 shots to get the kill, and if you can't, that's just a lost point for you. Now, this is on beginners, so it looks a little bit easier to one tap any of these bots, but again, you have a setting for medium and even hard to practice your shots. To make it even harder, make sure that you move farther away from the control panel to make it even more difficult for you to hit the shots and to see the target that you're looking at. Even so, if you want even harder, put it on difficult, put it on medium, and then move far and then start strafing, only stopping when you have to shoot a bot that spawns. There's so many ways to vary the difficulty of this simple setting, so make sure you do it. Also, don't just use the ghost to practice, use the sheriff, use the classic gun, use a vandal, a phantom, a judge. It doesn't matter. Be familiar with the guns that you like to use in game and practice them in the practice range right here on this setting. Now, when I do practice in the practice range, I usually use 3 different guns when I'm practicing. That is the sheriff, the vandal, and the ghost. When each of these guns are used, usually I'm playing with 3 different difficulties. 1, close to the control panel. 2, far from the control panel, still standing still. And 3, strafing while far from the control panel. Then I adjust the difficulty from medium, easy, or hard, depending on how it is. Now, you don't have to follow what my setup is. I prefer those guns. I prefer that way of learning how to practice. The idea is that you stay here, you practice more than 1 round of shooting, and you really get accustomed and familiar with how the guns shoot. You learn how to use your mouse to aim, and you commit everything to memory. Now, the next place that you can use to practice your aim is to actually step out of the practice range and to go into this place where all the floating targets are. The idea for this training session is to actually rotate from one side and shoot to the other. Meaning, if you shoot a target on the left, look to the right to kill a target on the right, and then alternate and go back to your left and find a target there. The idea for this training is not only for you to practice your aim and be precise, but to also practice fighting 2 fights at one time. Meaning, in a game where you have to kill someone on your left side and then immediately rotate and look at your right, this allows you to make that necessary movement so that you can have the best placement for your crosshair. Now, if you want to increase the difficulty of this training, what you can do is when you swing left and kill a stationary object, when you swing right, you kill one of the moving objects far from you, and then swing left and kill the stationary object, swinging right, killing another moving farther object. The idea is to keep the things unpredictable so that you're not only shooting at places that are stationary and are easy to predict. Now, the last thing that you can use when you are in practice range is this small area here with a movable target from 5 meters to 50 meters. Now the idea for this practice is to actually be aware of the recoil pattern of different guns that you would like to use when playing your game. Now if you don't know, different guns have different recoil patterns, meaning there's different ways that you can control the recoil of a gun if you choose to spray. Now the idea with this training is to be aware of when you should be tapping, burst firing, or full-on spraying depending on where your target is. Now the idea is that you should never be spraying, but there are times where you have to, and this is a way to be familiar with the recoil pattern and how you can control the recoil for each gun. Now the second thing that you should be aware about on how you can improve your aim is crosshair placement. If you know it, then you know it. But the fact that you are on this video, you probably don't. Anyway, the idea is that you should always be placing your crosshair where you think the enemy's head would be, meaning you reduce your chances of missing because the crosshair are already close proximity of where their head would be. If you look at this clip right here, there was no way in time, this full clip, am I looking at the floor or at the ceiling. No way in hell will I be killed from someone looking above me or below me. Now if you've been playing FPS for a long time, this should not be a problem to you, but for someone who plays League of Legends, Hearthstone, I don't know. You need to practice this habit and make sure that you will never look at the floor or the ceiling. Look at the angles they are holding. Please spare my eyes when I am watching you when I'm dead and you are pushing an angle, looking down or looking up. No one's gonna be there. Be mindful of your crosshair placement. Now, the next tip actually enhances how you can be better with your crosshair placement, and that is to be familiar with every single map that you play on. The idea here is that you familiarize yourself with every angle and what angles those defenders would hold while you push the angle. There's nothing worse than you running in so confident and then not checking one corner and getting killed. If you familiarize yourself with the map, you know those angles better, you know where their head would be at when they're holding those angles, meaning your crosshair placement is way better when you push the angle. The chances go up of you killing, and now you can just use your training from part 1 and hopefully you get that headshot. Now this just comes on time, and that means you have to keep playing, and playing. Meaning you are in quarantine, you have no responsibility. Go queue up a game, unrated or competitive, doesn't matter. Play as much as you can, learn the map, and be mindful of your crosshair placement. Now the last tip that I can tell you to improve your aim, it's probably going to come from every single aiming guide that you see in Valorant and any other game that you try to get better on. It is to play every time that you get the chance. Play with purpose, play often, and play. Don't just go into shooting range randomly flicking shots hoping that it hits. Be aware of what you're doing when you're practicing and understand what you're doing wrong and what you can do to get better. Don't just shoot randomly. Play with purpose, play often. Now, if you take the time every day to practice your aim, to practice your game sense, to memorize the maps, and look where your crosshair placement is, in time, I'll probably see you in Immortal or Valorant rank, because I'm that good. Anyway, that is all the tips that I have for you. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Play with purpose, practice with purpose. If this video is ever helpful to you, make sure to tell me in the comments below, and if not, tell me what I could do better. That is all that I have for today. Make sure to look out for my breach guide on Bind, and again, the next one after that is going to be a breach guide on Heaven. That is all that I have for you today. Make sure you sub if you are that 85% of the people who come here for guides but don't sub. Just click it. Just click it. See you guys later. Bye.